Liked it. Let me get to Denzel, a first-time caller. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Out of
Yes.
New Mexico. What's up, man? Thanks for calling.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Yeah, my question for you, hey, I don't want to debate, right? Because I
Yeah.
believe all of this is a psyop. All of this is a distraction. They're getting what they want out of us with this whole Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf situation.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know. So you feel? Well, I don't really know what you feel about it. So you think that? What do you think about it? Like, I'm sure that you think that Carmelo Anthony was wrong, or like,
I
do you
do. I
feel
think
like
he was wrong. I don't know how the situation went down. I don't know what was in his mind, of course. But I don't think he was right to be bringing a knife to that track meet. And I don't
okay,
think he was right to be all puffing up and saying, touch me again or whatever and see what happens. That's not right.
oh,
That doesn't,
so was
that sort of betrays a bad attitude. So I didn't like that.
okay,
I don't like the attitude that he seemed to portray according to that report. And
okay. What about?
yeah,
All
go
right, my
ahead.
bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I don't,
All
and
right. Well,
he may not have realized, but because a lot of times you stab somebody and they survive, but you stab somebody in the center of mass, in the heart, that's a deadly thing. And I don't know what his mind was, but that was wrong. And I think that I'm more perturbed, I think, if I'm perturbed at all, by the rush to defend him and to attack a little bit, to attack the people who are criticizing him. Some people are going maybe too far, but the rush to defend him and raise all this money for him and fight. I kind of roll my eyes a bit at the whites seem to be overreacting as well to it. But I definitely roll my eyes at the anti-whites, if you will, who are overreacting too. I try to stay back from either side and acknowledge, I don't know, like Austin Metcalf probably could have handled it differently to save himself. But he
okay.
had
That's
no way
where I
of
was
knowing
see
that.
where I was going.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's where I was going with that because everybody's talking about like, okay, Carmelo Anthony, he should have never stabbed him. Why did he bring a knife to a track meet? Well, why do you have all of these school shootings that go on?
Right.
I mean, you can't really do anything with a knife at a school shooting, but I mean, hey, I'd rather have something than nothing at all.
Right. I know. Yeah, I'm for people being armed, honestly. But armed and ready to use it over what seems to have been at most a petty little scuffle, little fight.
But don't you think that maybe he should have kept his hands to himself?
If he touched him, he
Well,
definitely should have.
his brother admitted. His
His
twin
brother.
brother admitted that they put his hands on his backpack. Now, I think, I do agree that it was a little bit excessive, but at the same time, I was taught to keep your hands to yourself.
You
Right?
should keep
I'm
your
not
hands
saying
to
that he
yourself.
deserved.
Yeah.
What's up?
I agree. You should keep your hands to yourself. But high schoolers don't do that. They fight. They push. And pushing isn't necessarily a fatal threat, you know.
No such thing as fair fights, especially when you got two twin brothers, 200 plus pounds. Dude was 5'9", 130. I'm not either way. I'm not.
Was
justifying
it even a fight
I
at that
don't-
point though? Like, if it became a fight, that's. I mean, he's put himself in trouble. Basically,
Yeah.
he got
But yeah,
himself in trouble.
You're right. At the end of the day, they both got themselves in trouble. Like I said, I didn't want to debate. I just wanted to put that out there and just to see how what you thought about it.
I'm
but,
with you. I think
that
go ahead. Sorry.
you can agree that maybe both of them probably made poor choices.
Yeah. But that's more of a what you expect type of choice to push and shove, because that happens. You've been pushed and shoved. You've pushed and shoved. And
I didn't have a knife though.
And nobody, yeah, you didn't have a knife, and the person that you pushed hopefully didn't pull out a knife. And usually you pull out a knife, and then And then they're like, "Oh, geez, okay, fine, go away." You don't stab them with it, you know, or they don't stab
I
you with
mean,
it.
it depends on how you were raised too. I mean, I wouldn't say I was raised, but you gonna pull it out and use it. You don't do that because depending on where you at, you pull out a gun or a knife and you try
Right.
to threaten somebody, they're gonna take that threat and they're gonna use
Escalate
deadly
even
force.
more.
So
Yeah, you're escalating
yeah,
when you even just
yeah,
brandish it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't want to debate or anything, man. I just just want to get your opinions and yeah, I'm gonna let the other callers come in and yeah.
What do you think about it? You've kind of told me, but what do you think? Give me your whole
Um,
take on it.
all right. So I think that I think both sides made poor choices. I think it's I don't think that Austin Metcalf deserved to die. I really I feel bad for that. Condolences to him. Um, I wish that Carmelo would have never stabbed him. I wish he would have never took his life. I don't think that I don't want to judge anybody, but I wouldn't say that I want him to not serve any time. But I don't think that he's as guilty as people are making it seem. Right? Whether that be probation or maybe a year or something, I do think that it's self-defense. And I just think it's a shame on both sides, both parties. And hopefully, hopefully people can learn from this, man. At the end of the day, I understand, the white people, I guess you think that you guys are getting weak now. You guys got to stand up for yourself. But, I mean, hey, if you're not going to, do it the right way, then hey, I mean, don't cry when stuff like this happens. He could have got like an official or some type of teacher or something. They didn't have to go and try to, get the guy to move. But hey, it is what it is. Sad loss for both sides. So nonetheless,
So you think it was self-defense?
I do.
Legitimate,
But
legitimate. He did
I
nothing. He
think
did nothing. He did. You think that he should get a little bit of a slap on the wrist, indicating that you think he went
yeah,
what?
I think it was excessive force. I think that he definitely didn't need to do that
Yeah.
per se. But I mean, look, that's just when you live a certain lifestyle. I don't know if you ever heard this quote. It's like I'd rather get caught with it than without it. It's talking about firearms.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, hey, you take those chances, but when you live a certain lifestyle. So if you're walking around, you're not supposed to have a gun, and you get caught with it, and well, hey, you got caught, and you got to go to jail, but at least you're alive. So
Rather than
like I said,
get caught when you need it, or you get it caught in a situation where you need it but you don't have it.
yes, exactly.
Interesting.
But like I said, I'm not justifying it, man. I really do. It's heartbreaking, that has to happen. But if that was my child in a situation, I'm going to ask my son, why are you going up to people, especially the blacks, right? Because the blacks are crazy. The blacks are,
right. Very good point.
Why are you even, I understand that you guys the blacks need to step up. But I mean, hey, if you're not, I was just raised a different way, I wouldn't be crying on camera like, oh, my son, he was like, no, he wasn't innocent. But, hey, if you want to be the heroes, and I guess, I don't know. That's it.
What would you think of somebody who went and told the teacher on you because you're in the fence rather than confronting you himself? Doesn't that seem sort of childish or girly? Like these people are trying to be men,
Oh, man, I mean, if somebody did that, I mean, I would be like, I mean, look, we're not street people. We're not street people, Hank. So if somebody were to do that, then I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's just the type of person that he is. I mean, I don't.
Tattletale?
I wouldn't think, yeah, I wouldn't think nothing of it. I'm like, I mean, hey. But I have been in a situation like that where, I was, with this dude. Well, I wasn't with him, but I was, I was working, right? And, I was, I don't know how to explain it, but I had asked him, I guess he was an employee at a facility, and I was like, hey, can I be over here? And he was like, oh yeah, you can. And so he ended up I left and I came back, and when I came back, he snitched on me, right? I don't want to use that word, but he snitched on me.
Uh-huh.
And then he had some lady come up to me and confront me hey, you're not supposed to be over here. And I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, hey man, I asked you and I could tell that he snitched on me, but I didn't think nothing of it because,
because you were wrong for being in the place anyway. or
I
whatever.
was wrong, but I didn't know that I was wrong. But I was
Yeah.
asking him like,
Oh,
hey, am I
man.
supposed to? But I mean, I don't know, man. A lot of betas in the world, so
Interesting.
yeah.
I understand your self-defense claim. Well, I mean, as we find out more, as you said, it was a little excessive.
Yeah. And then, but also one thing I want to mention
Should
too,
he
like
get
I
what
would
should he
consider,
get? Manslaughter? Do you kind of know? Could it be murder, second degree murder, heat of the moment? I think he got charged with first degree murder, which is kind of
man,
premeditated.
I'm black and slow. I don't know all the breakdown of all that. Like I know
Yeah.
that he did it, or I don't know.
Manslaughter is when
I
you
know he admitted. Yeah, go ahead.
manslaughter is when you kill somebody, but you didn't necessarily have malice beforehand.
Oh yeah.
And when you get into I don't know how much of a fight this thing was. Like if it's just if you know how blacks tend to escalate things way higher than they needed to be.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to though, but
You don't have
I
to,
mean,
but they do. Like a cop, like in these different situations, a cop will do something and they'll like turn it up to 11.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm suspecting that may have been the case with this.
yeah. Yeah, you got a point, but let me ask you this, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to compare the Daniel Penny situation, but so what's your thoughts on the Daniel Penny situation
Daniel Penny,
compared to this?
yeah, with Daniel Penny, it looked like he was trying to control a guy who was out of control, and he accidentally put him to sleep, or basically, I don't know, it ended up killing him
Yeah,
inadvertently. It was an inadvertent killing. That that was that did not seem like even a I don't even know if he was confronting him personally. I think he just snuck up behind him and took him down, trying to protect the people around whom he was mildly threatening, or whatever
and
the situation was.
so you think that was okay for that
Yeah,
situation?
I think it was okay because Daniel Penny didn't mean to kill him. It's a risky move to do a rear naked choke or whatever, because you can mess somebody up by doing that, and
Well,
apparently he did.
I mean, Carmelo Anthony didn't mean to kill Austin Metcalf.
I think you may be right. I think he may not have meant to kill him, but
Yeah,
that was Austin wasn't, that I know of, threatening anybody, not even him, except for with like a shove maybe, or a punch in the face, which hopefully he wouldn't have punched him in the face, but maybe we'll find out just how
yeah,
threatening Austin was being.
yeah. I mean, I want justice either way. For whatever situation, whatever I want him to be judged by a jury of his own peers, and whatever happens. I do think that as a black person, that like, yeah, we do escalate certain situations. I've seen the police cam videos.
Yeah.
People going crazy, and so I'm not going to say that people deserve to get taken out, but I mean I've seen it, man, and so sometimes I could sit here and I could be objective about the situation, but this one it's a little tricky. But yeah, I'm going to land my plane on that.
You're right that whites and blacks, honestly, should be very cautious and hesitant to approach and confront blacks who are
For sure.
doing something wrong, because it can turn crazy. And
Mind your own, you live long.
yeah. What did you just say? Sorry, I said yeah.
I said mind your own, you live long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, hey man, nice talking to you.
Yeah, great call. Thank you, Denzel. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Peace.
Bye. There's one line open, guys. I'm going to plow through a few calls here. Chad, out of Dallas, Texas, is on the line here. Chad O. Jackson, actually. What's up, man?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well. Great to hear from you.
Yeah, I haven't talked to you since we went on Made by Jim Bob's podcast.
That's right. That was like a year ago almost, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, definitely enjoying the show. I'm going to have to disagree with that last caller. I mean, it was a very amicable and cordial discussion. However, this notion that a lot of folks have that I think he kind of shared is that, well, he should get a slap on the wrist. He being Carmelo Anthony, he should get a slap on the wrist, maybe spend a year in jail, some probation time. Uh, I don't think that will solve anything. I think that Carmelo Anthony should go away for a long time because, I was in high school once, got in a lot of fights, little shoving matches. Never did I think to pull out a knife or a gun or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
That's someone who has impulsive personality, who is a threat to society, a threat to the general public, and a slap on the wrist and probation time isn't enough to get the message across, especially in this day and age.
Right.
To the extent that we go, soft on crime, this doesn't send a message to, those who would dare do such a thing in the future. I was talking to a friend the other day about, the medieval times and even up into the Enlightenment era in the 1700s, where they would have public executions and even torture. And what that did was that sent a reverberating message to society that crime and misbehavior will not be tolerated.
True.
So now that we live downstream of the Enlightenment era, where everything is tolerated, live and let live, all this nonsense. When we got into the modern era, and then after that, the postmodern era, where we have these kind of weird interpretations of unusual punishment. I forget the terminology of it, but basically cruel and unusual punishment or something like that.
Yeah.
So when you have that in tandem with these people who are trying to reform the criminal justice system, and even you heard Trump saying some of this.
Yeah, I
Reform the
cringe when
criminal
I hear
justice
him say
system.
it. Yep. Criminal
Right,
justice
exactly.
reform.
Yeah, criminal justice reform. So when you see criminal justice reform in tandem with going after quote unquote cruel and unusual punishment, what this does is it lets society know that we are not going to throw the book at you if you do something heinous, if you commit a crime, if you steal, one needs to look no further than the cities where they are raising the dollar amount for, if you steal something, we won't go after you if you steal something under this dollar amount. Well, what are the crime rates in those places? What are the unemployment rates in those places? On and on I can go.
Yeah.
I think when you look at the crime rates before, all of this went down, when you still had public executions, and you look at the crime rates now under soft on crime policies, the information there is jarring, and it stands to reason why would anyone want to continue in the pushing of these soft on crime policies. And I think that people like Carmelo Anthony needs to be made an example out of. Not to sound harsh or mean, but I mean this is for the sake of the whole society.
And
in my opinion,
and it would be just, honestly, for him to
exactly
catch a serious conviction, a serious charge and a serious conviction.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, because that was way out of proportion to stab a guy in the heart over what maybe was a scuffle.
You're absolutely right, and I think the fact that that incident here in Texas sparked this conversation. I mean, this happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
This is a conversation that will result in one of two things. Either it will result in the kind of validation of what a lot of the black folks are saying in terms of, well, Metcalf should have never put his hands on Carmelo, even though Carmelo was kind of, egging him on, saying, I wish you would put your hands on me. That doesn't matter. What matters is, Metcalf should have never done that. So if that crowd kind of get their way, if that becomes public opinion, then you will, again, see more incidents like that happening across society, where you are kind of tying the hands of folks who are level-headed,
Right.
who do stand their ground, who do really do defend themselves, because the definitions become murky. So that will happen, or he will get the book thrown at him, as he rightly should, and that would be a step in the right direction once again in terms of reclaiming our society,
Yeah.
in terms of saying, look, this kind of behavior won't be tolerated. Now, I will say, with the judge lowering the bond from $1 million to $250,000, that is a step in the wrong direction. And so it's looking, as of now, that the wrong crowd will get their way.
Yeah.
And then when this goes to trial, if he pleads innocent or self-defense, the jury will be made up most likely of people who are indoctrinated with a kind of social justice framework.
Yeah.
And the thing about social justice, and I don't want to take up too much more of my time, but the thing about social justice is people both on the right and the left adhere to social justice, whether they realize it or not, because it's in the schools, especially here in Texas. People think Texas, red state, conservative. Yeah, that's not true when you look at the curriculum that is being taught in a lot of these public schools. What they have in mind when they educate children in this country is future voters, future decision makers. And so it's for this reason that they introduce subliminally, softly, subconsciously, the relics of social justice mindset, the relics of a pro big government mindset. And so when these people come of age, they become your voters, they become your jurors, they become your peers, those who make up the public opinion. It's shaped by the government by way of the education system. And so when you see what happened with Derek Chauvin, for example, when you see all these different instances, I mean, I'm surprised still to this day that that Zimmerman was let off. But as we get deeper and deeper into this kind of social justice curriculum that's being taught in schools, you'll begin to see people making decisions not on the basis of the facts of the case, but rather all of that backdrop and background of indoctrination that they got to believe that if you're black, you shouldn't be treated as harshly because of the years of systemic racism and all this other nonsense.
Yeah.
And so you judge incorrectly based upon this feeling sorry for someone based upon their color of their skin or whatever the case may be. I fear that that's the direction we're going in as society. And I think this Karmelo Anthony Metcalf situation kind of is a pivotal moment in defining what kind of nation are we.
That's true, man. And it's crazy how deeply that racism brainwashing has had for decades. My parents' generation has that. The brainwashing from the propaganda about the 60s and the you don't compare anything to slavery and you don't compare anything to the Holocaust. And what if in my generation and Gen X as well, what if our great-grandparents were slave masters? I'm like, what if? Who cares? But still, I remember being in high school, we went up to Pasadena or somewhere where black people were. We didn't see a lot of black people down where we were. But I remember having the notion, don't look racist. And it's like, what? That's a crazy mindset. And you're right, it gets into people and it twists their thinking. A kiss-up culture. It's evil.
Right, 100%.
Well,
man, it was nice talking to you.
One quick thing. I know you're a history guy, and I picture this case becoming another history story, like Trayvon, because Trayvon is cast as the victim when he was kind of the perpetrator, like Mike Brown, like the Central Park Five, like that Jewish guy. I was talking with the Punchy TV guys in the taping that we're going to come out on Monday. This Jewish guy who was like the basis for the founding of the ADL, who allegedly had done something with a young girl and blamed it on a black guy. There's all these different stories where the perp, the overreaction, let's call it, the big reaction against the perp makes the historians cast the perp as like the victim and cast the black people as the victim. and the whites as the bad guys. They pick and choose which wrong people they want to point out. You know,
Right.
propaganda.
No, you're 100% right, and I call these moments. These are propagandized moments that we look at to kind of find our identity as a country. And so, as of now, when you look at Helen Keller and Martin Luther King and Mark Twain and Harriet Tubman and FDR, like on and on I can go. They mythologize these people.
Yeah.
To tell students that these are the quintessential Americans. These are the people who, did something great or wrote something great or said something great that defines who we are as a country. And if you look at all these different people and moments, you'll find that they're all either globalist or Marxist or satanic even.
Wow.
And so, yeah, the moments are key. I mean, when you look at Harriet Tubman, for example, a lot of the stuff that we hear in our classrooms that she did is not even true.
Interesting.
On many different fronts. Same is true of Helen Keller. Same is true of Martin Luther King. And then, too, if you look at the so-called March on Washington, that's a moment that was planned by a communist. When you look at the so-called church bombings that took place in the 1960s, you'll find that communists were behind many of those, but they made it look like quote-unquote white supremacists did it because they wanted to validate and make the civil rights movement appear to be a legitimate force. And so they had to create these kind of traumatizing moments to
fake hate crimes
go along with it.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah, fake hate crimes. And so what they do is they create moments, and then they take moments, like they take real moments and run with them. And so to your point, with this Carmelo Anthony situation, it's, in my opinion, a real moment that they are going to try to take and run with it to, on the one hand, communicate to black folks, look, this is what standing your ground looks like. This is what, getting your get back against white folks looks like. So they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And then there's there's so many different opportunities propaganda-wise that they could take this moment and utilize it to their advantage for, because we've seen it historically to the point that you made.
Yeah. Great call, Chad. Appreciate hearing from you, man.
Thank you.
Well, take care.
Have a good one.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye. Chad O. Jackson. He's the guy behind Uncle Tom 2. I say Uncle Tom 2 because I prefer it big time to Uncle Tom 1. But Uncle Tom 1 is it's cool. But Uncle Tom 2, check it out. And he's on YouTube and elsewhere. Been on the JLP show.